There's no G's in here.
Yeah, there's G's in cohort A, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about this. Do you guys need another minute?
So what, we're just annotating, or
We're annotating, we're gonna come up with a thesis sentence.
okay, have we, like, we need to have that ready right now, or like, are we going over that?
We're gonna go over it now and let you write your thesis sentence, and we can kind of do it together, okay? All right, even though, you know, those two ladies are out having their picture made, we can still have a discussion and they can get caught up when they get here. I'm gonna try to get a video of this, and that way, if we have a good conversation about it, we can share. I taped first period too, so for you AP fans at home, this will be a good practice for you. Okay, so the subject matter is the Santa Ana winds. Santa Anas. Is that it? Is it just about the Santa Ana winds? What is it about?
Like how the people are reacting to it?
That's right. Okay, Santa Ana's effect on people, right? Okay, so there's really our subject matter. Okay, so we always want to kind of look at how I always try to think about how is this organized, right? Her introduction, the main purpose is to sort of establish what? What is the, you know, she used something uneasy, unnatural stillness. What is she trying to, what atmosphere is she trying to create?
Something like eerie.
Yeah, like a eerie, the enigmatic winds, right? Okay, where does her word choice contribute to that? Something uneasy. What else? This is our exigence too, by the way. Something uneasy in the Los Angeles air this afternoon. Okay? The air this afternoon is what inspired her to, this got her curiosity piqued, right? This inspired her to write about it. Okay, what else adds to that in that first paragraph? What other words did you underline that we could point to as diction? Something uneasy.
Tension.
Yeah. Unnatural stillness. Some tension. Good. Okay. What else? Northeast, winding through the Cajon and San Gorgonio passage, up the sandstorms out along Route 66, drying the hills and the nerves to flashpoint. Right? You know what flashpoint is? The point at which something bursts into flames, right? This is actually there's a Latin term for what's going on here. This is a rhetorical device. It's called zeugma. I would like for you to write that down in your notes. A zeugma is a incongruent comparison. we can understand that hills can literally flash into, spontaneously combust or burst into flames. But our nerves, you know, that's figurative language. Our nerves aren't literally going to burst into flames. So we're using this incongruous comparison. Drying hills and nerves. So, like, you know, she doesn't elaborate on it. It dries the hills to spontaneous combustion, and your nerves feel the same way. She just says drying the hills and nerves to flashpoint. Right? You know, she uses these short sentence structures that are punchy. Sirens in the night. Everyone knows it. We feel it. The baby frets. The maid sulks. I rekindle an argument, you know, like there's that fire metaphor again, right? And then to live with the Santa Ana is to accept consciously or unconsciously a deeply mechanistic view of human behavior. That's her thesis, right? You said it, right? To write about the Santa Anas and its effect on people. There is a deeply, so in her introductory paragraph, she introduces the enigmatic qualities, the mysterious quality of the winds, and introduces her thesis, which is why I use a upside down triangle for my introductory paragraph, because usually we start broad and then we introduce our point for writing. At the point is our thesis. And she does that. It's a pretty traditional approach to setting up an essay. Thesis, 2 body paragraphs, right? This is a paid, professional, very published, very accomplished writer. Guess what? There's no 5th paragraph. There's no 4th or 5th paragraph. She doesn't just write that canned 5-paragraph essay, right? Okay, and so then her body paragraph moves on to, I recall being told. So now this is also part of the context, right, of her, you know, she's had these conversations before. Convos about...
This is an all call for all sophomores who have not had their picture taken to please go to the auxiliary gym. If you have not had your picture taken and you're a sophomore, please go to the auxiliary gym. Thank you.
This aggression will not stand. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to teach this lesson, and here we have these announcements going on, like pictures. Come on, really? I told you the camera was already broken, right? Does it seem like I'm getting a good shot there?
Yeah.
Okay, am I in it? All right. I feel like my artistry, as an artist, I'm just not being appreciated when they make these announcements. I'm trying to make my Steven Spielberg quality movie here, right? Is it rude? I don't know. I think it's kind of rude. just kidding. All right, here we go. People are at home. It's like, is he being sarcastic? I don't know. Okay, so we're just kind of, you guys that just got back. We're tying to we're finding examples of where the language contributes to her introduction, where she introduces the enigmatic or mysterious quality of the winds, and her thesis, deeply mechanistic view of human nature. Here we have an interesting construct that I would like for you to get into your notes. The zeugma is an incongruous comparison between 2 things, drying hills and nerves to flashpoint. Hills can burst into flames. Nerves, not so much. But we're talking about the Santa Ana's mechanistic, the effect that they have on the mechanisms of our emotions and our physical state, right? So the first body paragraph, she ties back to part of the context. This is conversations that she has found interesting in the past that she has had. I recall being told when I first moved to Los Angeles, City of Angels, was living on an isolated beach that Indians would throw themselves into the sea when the bad wind blew. Bad wind. I could see why. The Pacific turned ominously glossy during a Santa Ana period, and I woke one night with the trouble not only to be not only by the peacocks screaming in the olive trees, but the eerie absence of surf. Right? So our first body paragraph starts out with Indian folklore. Right? And she uses this would be nice stuff to go in here. Peacocks screaming, olive trees, screaming in olive trees, which usually we think of olive trees as like a symbol of peace, right? And peacocks, this beautiful, majestic creature screaming, you know. And then we move into the personal anecdotes. Her neighbor wandering around his property with a machete. One night he heard a prowler. Another night it was a rattlesnake. Right? Personal anecdotes. Okay? Then we move into our last paragraph where she pulls in a fiction writer, Ray Chandler, who has written about them in his fiction works. Booze parties that always end up in a fight. Meek little housewives who wake up to find themselves standing over their husbands with a knife at their throat. Well, he doesn't say that. Booze parties ends in a fight. Meek little wives feel the edge of the carving knife and study their husbands' necks. Right? That was the kind of wind it was, right? So Ray Chandler's fictional accounts, right? And then she ends with science bears out folk wisdom. So then she gets into the science or scientific and technical jargon, and she takes on more of a scholar's approach, right? And she ends up with this list of things, distinct characteristics of the malevolent winds, the bad winds. This is like personification, right? You know, the winds are being personified as like being like conscientiously trying to do us some kind of harm, right? Scientific technical jargon. What are the characteristics? She lists 6. There's a list of 6. 1, it occurs on the leeward slope of a mountain range. 2, you know, that's technical, you know, it tells how the winds actually work. 2, doctors hear about headaches, nausea, allergies, about nervousness and depression. So we get from, meteorologist, doctors, Los Angeles teachers don't have lessons because the kids are wilding out. Like, you know, we say it's a full moon and Friday the 13th in the springtime, or Halloween on a Friday, you know, whatever, you know. You know, teachers always talking about, oh God, the sap is rising, the spring is in the air, and you know, kids are reacting, and everybody's going nuts, and full moon fever is in, and all that kind of stuff. Switzerland, suicide rates goes up during a phone, right? And the Swiss cantons, when they happen, suicide rates go up, and the winds can be considered a mitigating circumstances in the court of law. So you kill somebody under one of these winds, and you can actually use it as sort of a defense. I'm sure you don't get off of being in trouble, but they mitigate or assuage or lessen the punishment because people are affected by these winds in adverse ways. Meteorologists, doctors, suicide rates, and Swiss law slash Swiss law. And then surgeons don't do surgeries because the blood doesn't clot right. And Israeli physicists discovered that not only during such windows, but for 10 or 12 hours, Israeli physicists about the ratio of positive to negative ions. Israeli physicists. So there's all these things, and then look, she ends by restating her thesis again. With something sort of, one cannot get much more mechanistic than that, right? By restating her thesis here. Introduces the enigma, juxtaposes, so look at how she is contrasting or juxtaposing Indian folklore with personal anecdotes. Then she juxtaposes a fictional writer's accounts with scientific and technical jargon, and she gives 6 very specific details, right? So she's hitting on so many factors that we can tie back to our rhetorical situation. Indian folklore, this is appealing to audiences who are interested in, Native American culture, and we have like the storytelling aspect of it, and personal anecdotes, right? So the audience is, a wide range of audiences engaged here. That's meant to be engaging. And also the fictional accounts, there's a logic to her ordering, contrasting folklore with personal accounts. So mythology, maybe real, maybe not. Then personal accounts, this is coming from somebody who has some credibility as a writer, so she's establishing that. Then back to a fiction writer, who has written about it, but doesn't necessarily add the same credibility, but she ends with a big bang because she's talking about, see what I did there? Science, big bang, like the Big Bang Theory. Sorry. Okay, so scientific technical jargon with some 6 very specific details, and then ends up with her thesis again. So there's a logic to the ordering that she has. And her purpose? To show a mechanistic view, to show her mechanistic, not just her, but to show a mechanistic view of human nature, right? And her tone goes from ominous to inquisitive, and to more scholarly. So folklore. There's a very scholarly kind of thing going on here. So she is scholarly. She is inquisitive, and she's also, one cannot get much more mechanistic than that. She's firm in her ideas. She is, she has she's opinionated, in a good way, right? So what I would like for you to do now is to write a good thesis statement. How does she use her organization of ideas in concert with her choice of language to create that beautiful imagery that you were talking about, to pick our interest, pick interest, and to then sell us on an idea, right? So you come up with your thesis sentence, and you can use her language. Since she states her thesis twice, it makes sense to use her own words. Her purpose is to express a view on how mechanistic human behavior is. And think about it. You can agree with that, right? What happens when you get super hungry or tired? Are you your best, most productive self when you're hungry or tired? I get hangry. A friend of mine gets hangricidal, so she'll kill you. So you don't get around Bambi when she's hungry, right? Her real name's Jim. She does the roller thing, and she says she gets hangricidal or whatever. And what else? Oh, seasonal affective disorder, right? You know, does anybody have to like conscientiously fight the blues in the wintertime when it's dark and steely gray and cold outside? You know, we have to consciously try to get more vitamin D, like sunshine, and exercise, and eat healthy to thwart off the effects of seasonal affective disorder. Think about the way hurricanes, the drop in barometric pressure gives people migraines, and you know, animals start acting weird during, you know, horses especially, right? Horses get nuts around hurricanes, don't they? Like when that barometric pressure, they start kind of wilding out, right? Okay, you write your thesis, you hearing, you lot in class, and you lot at home. AP fans, let's see how long we went. I wonder how my movie has turned out with all the interruptions. 21 minutes. That's